This afternoon, President Obama and former President George W. Bush were among those who spoke at a memorial service for 5 Dallas police officers killed in a shooting last week. President Obama asked Americans to open our hearts to each other. That shooting came after 2 black men were killed by white police officers in Louisiana and Minnesota. The violence has sparked protests and tense debate around the country. New at 6, Miranda Combs shows us what's being done here in Lexington to address the new reality of overcoming stereotypes.
We met in a small library inside First Baptist Bracktown. The room is lined with books, perspectives, and different perceptions, just like the people we came to talk to.
We all have these biases, and so we have to have those conversations with them.
These 2 are in charge of Black Males Working.
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. BMW is a Saturday program in Lexington that's grown now to 325 African American boys.
What we're doing is teaching them life skills that will help them in the future.
Josh Wooldridge will soon graduate from the program, but there was one Saturday seminar he can't shake.
That was a life-changing experience.
He and his classmates met with police. It wasn't to alarm, it was to understand.
I feel like I shouldn't have to be scared of police officers as far as just, you know, when they approach me, what's going to happen. You never know. It's just how they approach the situation as well as the way I approach the situation.
So the BMW program pushes communication between police and young African American males. They teach them how to react if they are pulled over by an officer. They don't just teach the kids, they teach the parents too.
But this is the world we live in. So we have to prepare our young men for those types of instances that happen.
To keep the interior light on, hands on the steering wheel. You wait till the officer addresses you and wait till they ask you to make any subtle movements until they ask you for your registration, your insurance, and your license.
Now they're telling me to keep everything out, insurance, ID, everything.
So it has a real direct impact on them as African-American kids.
Former police chief Anthony Beatty worked patrol in Lexington for years. He recalls lessons like this are not new. He says back in the 80s and early 90s, he remembers officers handing out brochures explaining to all drivers how to respond if pulled over.
I have these videotapes, if you will, of these images in my head about what you are and who you are and what you're going to do, and you have a set of those principles that you have for me. And so when that traffic stop is made, those tapes start playing for both of us, the person who stopped and the officer too.
Beatty grew up in Lexington's inner city. His perception of police was not positive. Police were only around his streets when arrests were being made, sometimes violent. There was no relationship between his community and the officers that patrolled. He says that's what's missing today across the country, a connection.
We got to get back to more time in the neighborhoods.
No justice, no peace.
He says the recent killings of police and African Americans has started an important dialogue. Now there has to be more.
But the images we're burning into our kids now, I shudder to think what impact it has on them long run. So the conversations need to happen now. They need to be intense, they need to be healthy, and they need to move the ball forward.
That's the larger question. Why do we have to have those conversations with African American youth, particularly boys? The fact that we had that conversation says a lot.
But the conversations, they say, are practice in an unpredictable society.
It's always about being proactive better than being reactive.
It's easy to raise strong children and repair broken men.
It is.
So you start
That's
early.
our motto.
Matter of fact, they won't have any interaction, any negative interaction with the police if we help them become strong young men.
And Beatty went on to say police interactions with the community tend to change over time and depend on circumstances. He says right now police need to go back to neighborhoods and establish relationships with their communities.
Which sounds very simple and good, but of course that requires some funding for that.
And he believes there will be more federal funding coming in for these community relations programs with police, so we'll see.
All right.
Thank you, Miranda.